Okay, we're going to talk about a cause and effect diagram. Just spend a couple minutes explaining what it is, and then we're going to try to go through a quick tutorial so that you'll be able to create one for yourself. Cause and effect diagram is really just a simple tool to help make sure that when we're brainstorming, we get a balanced list of ideas, that we don't just get focused on one area or one type of cause for an effect. It'll help us to sort out factors to really understand what is the root cause for an effect. Often you see these cause and effect diagrams used for a negative effect, like some kind of failure, and people are trying to get an idea of what caused the failure. But we can also use the cause and effect diagram for an effect that was a good effect, some kind of success, and I'll show you an example of one of those. Again, we're trying to get to the real root cause of the problem. It tries to organize our ideas, so rather than just brainstorming and throwing ideas out onto a piece of paper or onto a board without any kind of structure, this is going to help us give us a little more structure. And you may have already seen a cause and effect diagram before. Sometimes they're called a fishbone diagram. Maybe more people are familiar with those because it looks kind of like a fishbone here. We have the head of the fish and like major bones running out to the sides. So let's see if we can get started and actually complete one of these. Okay, we're going to try to do a cause and effect diagram in Excel, and you can do them in Word, you can create them in PowerPoint, really anything that you can draw with. There's some tools like Visio which might help make them, but if you're just not going to do a whole lot of cause and effect diagrams, just want a real simple way, then Excel is a good starting point. So first thing I want to do with an Excel spreadsheet is I want to blank out all these grid lines that we have. So I'm going to turn the grid lines off. And the next thing I want to do is start drawing the structure to this fishbone. So I'm going to insert a shape. I'm going to just draw a line here. And it looks like the major line. And I'm going to insert a text box. I'll make that the head of my fish. And in that text box, we're going to put what the effect is. In other words, what happened that we're trying to study. And we'll draw a few lines here. Now these are going to be our main cause categories, these major bones, what we call these 4 lines here. I'm going to have 4 major cause categories in this example. You might see someone go up to 8 cause categories. Here's some common cause categories in a manufacturing environment. What might cause an effect? So if we think about like a defect, say a process or a product was made and it didn't meet specifications, and you started trying to figure out, well, what caused this defect to happen? One of the things you might come up with is maybe it was the material, maybe you had bad raw materials. So that's a common cause category. So I'm going to put my cause category, it's a little bit thin there. So maybe some of the causes had to do with the material that we were using. Maybe some of the causes had to do with the people that were actually performing the process. Maybe it was the machines that they were using. Looks like we got an extra capital there for material. And I can just copy these actually, can't I? And maybe it was the environment. Maybe it was something about the facility itself, the temperature or the humidity or things like that that might have caused that defect. And again, these are the major cause categories. So when we start brainstorming, we brainstorm in terms of what kinds of material issues may have caused this defect or this bad component. And when we start listing the individual causes, we're going to do a similar type of format. We're just going to draw a line off of the major effect. And just to make this maybe look a little more presentable, I'm going to put no fill and no line color. So the cause that has to do with materials that cause this effect is going to go on this line. And if I had more specific causes that were related to materials, then I would keep creating more and more cause lines. And then I would do the same thing with people. So we might kind of think of 4 brainstorming exercises. One that generated a list of causes that were related to materials, one related to people, one related to environment, one related to machines. This is pretty common for a manufacturing environment. You need to think about what your process is. You know, if we were thinking about a customer service process, probably material, people, environment, and machines would make sense for cause categories. Here's a completed one. This is a pretty busy cause and effect diagram. I asked a couple of students to work on a cause and effect diagram for what would cause an instructor to receive a high course evaluation when students do the performance evaluations at the end of the semester. And here's what they came up with. There were 4 cause categories. There's no magic to the number 4. Just so happened that I used an example with 4 and they had 4. They said there were things related to the delivery, how the instructor delivered the material. Obviously things related to the instructor. Some causes related to the tasks that were being assigned, and some causes related to the content itself. So I don't need to read through all of these, just show you a couple of examples. For the instructor, and a cause related to the instructor is the instructor has to be knowledgeable about the course material. You're probably not going to receive a high course evaluation if you don't know what you're talking about. Let's see another one. Cares about his or her teaching and effectiveness. So, you know, they can tell if you're just phoning it in. Maybe causes related to the delivery system. Is the professor enthusiastic during the lecture? Use of different mediums to disseminate information like PowerPoints and lectures and guest speakers and discussion boards. So those are, we would think maybe that's one cause, using different medium to, in your delivery process, that would cause you to receive a high course evaluation. Things related to the content, is it relevant to the field of study? You know, someone might be a great instructor and they might do great at delivering fun information, but maybe it's not relevant to the field of study. And content, you know, is it interesting? And then things that having to do with tasks, there were usually students have some ideas about how much homework is expected, are tests graded fairly, things like that. So there's a nice little cause and effect diagram, pretty busy with a lot of causes, but hopefully that gives you the idea of what this will actually do for you. Again, what we're trying to do is come up with a structured way to brainstorm ideas about what caused an effect. And the effect can be a negative effect or the effect can be a positive effect.